Welcome to Champions Battlefield. I'm your host, Trevor Carroll. With me is my broadcast partner, Jamak Golshani. With us in studio today is former amateur bantamweight champion and current number 3 ranked pro bantamweight Craig McLean. Welcome, Craig.
Good to be here.
Craig, do you agree with those rankings?
Yeah, you know what? I don't put a lot of stock in rankings in terms of local rankings and following them and, kind of seeing how that goes. At the end of the day, what gets you to the big show is getting wins. So, I think the rankings are fairly accurate. Like there's things, I could have done better in my fights that would put me, further along. But for the most part, I'd say they're fairly accurate.
When you look at it, though, when you look at those names below you especially, do you think any of those guys could beat you?
No, I don't. No. I think I'm there for a reason,
Yeah.
and, and not only that, I think I can beat the guys, ahead of me too, right? But, I've made mistakes along the way, and,
That's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
As a fighter, there isn't a name I'd mention that you'd say, no, I think I'd lose to that
Yeah,
guy.
exactly. That's the game, right? You got to put out that confidence. You got to
Yeah.
believe in yourself, and I do believe in myself. I think when I'm on, and that I can beat any of those guys.
Speaking of that last fight, you had some pretty good moments. What went wrong?
It's a frustrating one, and I don't think I've felt that way since I was an amateur. Actually, I throughout the day, I felt confident. I went through my regular routine that you go throughout the day. In the back, backstage, I felt confident when I got there. And then warming up, I was just a little bit flat. And I think I went out there, I didn't have a great warm up, but that's not the reason. I went out there and I was just a little bit flat. And I think a part of it was a little bit, on paper, not that there's paper in the fight game, but he's a guy I should have beat. I believe. I think I was, I'm the better fighter. But he was tough, and I knew he'd be tough, and I knew he'd be scrappy. And I went out there a little bit flat, and I think that he just, I just thought the knockout would happen. I came off a couple of big wins, and I think I had that confidence that, hey, it's going to happen. Instead of sticking to my game and what I do best, I think I got into the brawling, and I think I just was waiting for the big shot, and he could take a punch.
Do you think you underestimated him?
Not in my training. I didn't slack at all on my training. I don't think I underestimated him, but I had the confidence, like maybe a little bit too much confidence. Maybe I underestimated him a little bit that, I would put him away within 1 or 2 rounds. And I didn't go in there with the mindset of changing my game. And I think that's the problem. I think because in my mind, I had that I was going to stop him on the feet. Why didn't I shoot for a takedown? Why didn't I change it? I think so. And it's frustrating coming off a couple of wins, having that confidence of feeling that you're going to, get that extra win and go to that next level, and then kind of being put back a little bit. So, but that's the game, right? When those lights go on, you got to be on,
Is that a fight you'd like to get back in the future?
Yeah,
at some point?
I told Jay, that's, I'd love that one again because it doesn't go down like that again.
Yeah. You've had the unique opportunity to go against Cole Smith and also Galvin, obviously. If those guys were to fight, what do you think would happen?
Well, I think Cole, I think he's the more well-rounded guy. Again, I think I beat Galvin 9 times out of 10 as well. I think, he caught me on an off night. But Cole's a well-rounded guy, and Galvin, he's tough. He's scrappy, and he'll be there to fight. But, if I were to pick a winner, it'd be Cole.
Okay. You've kind of had an up and down in your career, right? You lost your first fight, and then you won 3 in a row, I think, right? And then we just talked about what happened last time. And Jay said that you've asked to jump right back in and fight in March. What kind of opponent do you think would work best for you? Is someone a grappler, a kickboxer? What do you think?
I don't really have a preference that way. I think I think so many times that I've fought grapplers or fought wrestlers. They're always looking for the takedown. I think this time was the first time I got a guy who was, looking to strike, and that was nice. But whenever I go into a fight, I always like to always show something new in my game, and I don't think I've had a chance necessarily to show my grappling. So, style wise, I don't really have anyone in mind. No.
Okay.
Hey, when you're fighting, what do you usually do when you're not fighting to take your mind off of consistently getting hit or trying to defend takedowns or that's what goes through your head or what helps you get away from the fight game?
Like just in my downtime, what do I like to do?
What do you like to do for fun?
You you know what's funny? So I got a 10-year-old stepdaughter. So we're pretty busy in general. She got hockey, got lots of things going on. So, but honestly, I love training. When you have a fight, that is when training's not that much fun. You have to be at the gym. You got to be doing your couple of sessions a day, and you got to be doing your conditioning. And outside of fights, I just love training for the fun of it. I love going and jumping in the gi, doing gi jiu-jitsu, changing things up, doing whatever I like to work on. And outside of that, spend time with family, and we like to get on the ice a lot, go play some hockey.
Nice.
Yeah.
We just speaking of that, we just saw your girlfriend, and you mentioned kids. Tell us a little bit about your life and what other important stuff are going on in your life other than fighting, obviously.
Yeah, so I got a 10-year-old stepdaughter. So I've been a big part of her life the last 5 years. So that was something new for me. And then we had a bit of a change up the last few months. We got my girlfriend's 1-year-old brother. He just turned 1, who's actually been with us the last few months. He was in a bad situation, and we were asked if we would kind of step in and help him out for a few months. But it's been neat. It's been a kind of a cool experience, to have him. And so it's been an adjustment the last few months, to say the least, right? Having such a young child, but it's been interesting. It's been nice.
Okay, well, let's talk about your other family, right? You've got your family, and then you've got your fight family, right?
Yeah.
Justin Daly, he's cracked the top 10.
Yeah.
Do you think he's ready in terms of his submission game, stand-up game to hang with the guys at the top, like the champ Paul Cowie or anybody else? What are your thoughts on
I think so. I think Justin has much less experience, fight-wise than them. But I think his game has evolved so much, and I think just he's got such a good base with his grappling, and his striking is coming along so well. And when he came and started training with the fight team, he was primarily a grappler, and it was you go grapple with him, and it wasn't so much fun. But he come into MMA, and you're able to punch. It's a little bit different, so I didn't mind grappling with him there. But now, he's a beast everywhere, and he's doing really well. His striking's coming along. So I think, for him, just getting the fights is what's really going to help him to get in the cage, get that experience. And I think he's going to do really well in that division.
Another name, Mike Morley. Do you think he's ever going to come back and fight Jonathan Dubois or Herb Moon?
The notorious Mike Morley all over the BFL page. You know what? I love seeing it. You know what, Mike? He's down. He doesn't have any pro fights on his record, but he's down to step up and fight those guys. I know he will, and I know he'll put it on either of them. He was supposed to fight Herb Moon. I think Herb was overweight by quite a bit, so the fight didn't happen. Dubois, he's asked to fight him, and they've spoken about it. But I know he's down, so I hope so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of social media and social media hype, you've had 9 fights with BFL now, pretty long standing.
Yep.
Other than the obvious thing that we know you guys all ask for, which is fight footage, is there anything else that BFL could do for you to promote you? Do you think in general the sort of the later things that we're doing with hyping the fights and promoting the fights and stuff on social media, do you think that's too much, or is that kind of helping the fighters get a little bit of a better name, more exposure out in the community?
Well, I think in general, you guys, more so than other promotions, have done a pretty good job of, hyping the fighters. A lot of the footage, a lot of the pre-fight footage, even when I was an amateur and I came here and did some of that stuff. You guys done a pretty good job of that over the last, 6 months, though. The last few shows, I've noticed you stepped it up quite a bit. Adding on the revenue from the pay-per-view buys, things like that also help the fighters. But I think the social media and just pumping them out, making them, the little local heroes a little bit in the fight game is nice, and it helps, across Canada when names get mentioned. Battlefield, their name is coming up, and they're starting to know the fighters, and it's going to open up some big fight opportunities, I think.
Hey, outside of Revolution Fight Team, who's your favorite fighter in BFL?
Favorite fighter in BFL? I didn't even think about that one. You know what? Chris Anderson, he's a fun guy to watch. You know what? And I think when you look at him and you see him fight, he doesn't necessarily, surprise you, or you don't take a look at that guy and you think, wow, he's unreal, right? But he goes in there and he looks better every time he fights. You know, he had a tough fight with Matt Dwyer, but he's good. You know, he's very good. And you know, it's tough. You know, he fought a teammate of mine, obviously Jared Revell. So I don't like saying it too much, but you know, I think we're all fans of him. You know, and he's a game guy, so I do enjoy watching him fight.
Craig, thanks for coming in, brother. We really appreciate. I always love watching you fight. Thank you so much for coming in. You came in with your family today, which was an added bonus.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Yep.